my first NBA bucket, and I'm mad this went in. I'm so upset it went in, because now, forever, my first NBA bucket would be me going to the left, and the ball rolled down my arm. All I could do was just flick it up, and it just went in. I was so, I wish it would have went over the basket. Like, I wish it would have just went 30, because it was just such an ugly basket.
Do you think the NBA as an organization is doing enough for the mental health of the players?
No.
Who would you say is the best?
LeBron.
Over Jordan?
100%.
Why? Hi, I'm Moshe Popack, and welcome to Common Denominator. Today we speak with former NBA star Michael Beasley. Michael was the second overall pick in the 2008 NBA draft, where he was selected by the Miami Heat. That launched an 11-year professional career with the Heat, Wolves, Suns, Rockets, Bucks, Knicks, and Lakers. He'll share the highs and lows of life in the NBA and share some of his favorite memories. Hi, Michael, and welcome to Common Denominator.
Oh man, what's up? How you?
Doing great. So I wanna go back, because for me, I always think about like life-changing moments. 2008, right? If you take yourself back to that moment where Derrick Rose goes first, and then your name is called second in the draft. Like, what's going on? Did you know that was going to happen?
I really thought I was going to Chicago. I really had my heart set on Chicago. Like, I guess everybody else wasn't surprised, but I was surprised. I was very surprised, and I was trying not to hold it. You know, my mom gave me a hug, and somebody snapped the picture, and I really wish they didn't. But like, I wasn't like really hugging my mom, like embracing my mom, like the moment. Like, you know, like I should have, because
you were 19, right?
I was 19, and my emotions were not just on my sleeve, but on my pants legs and on my hats. Like, my emotions were in everything I did and said, and it just bled out in all the wrong moments, you know? So, like, I loved the night. I ended up having a cool night, but the moment is one of those I forget, because I just can't shy away from the accountability of that, really not sharing that with my mom, you know, especially while not being here. So,
in other words, it was a moment for you and your mom to connect.
Yeah, and I missed it, and she don't know I missed it. She don't know. She don't even know this. I didn't even get a chance to tell her this. So it's just one of those memories where you get to, and it's just like a block, and everything else is a blur, because you just want that to be right, you know? So.
But what does it take? Like, obviously you have the height, but the training, was it something like deep when you were a young child that you grabbed the basketball and you said, you know what, I want to do this for my family. I want to go to the NBA.
No. At first, we all want to do what the next us want to do, which is our friends, right? So my best example is dogs not knowing what a mirror is. You ever go to someone's house with a Rottweiler and a Chihuahua, and the Chihuahua is so aggressive,
always,
and the Rottweiler is just a big lap dog? It's because we can only see who we are through who we spend our time with.
That's right.
You know
Top 5 people were around.
So that's all I knew. I didn't know I was supposed to be good at it. I didn't know I was supposed to get my family out the hood at it. I didn't know any of that. It's just the only place that made sense as far as shutting the noise out, right? So from the second the ball bounced, you ever been around somebody recording music? Like, it's a click in the.
So you talk about the noise.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
So that's what the ball does for me. It's just like cancel everything out and just And just, it's just been that, just my quiet place. And one of my favorite quotes, that what you do most is what you do best. And I think I've played basketball more than I've took steps in life.
Interesting. I've had like top mountain climbers, and they explain that. They do. Why is everybody doing what they're doing? What ends up being is that what you said, the common denominator is the place where it cancels out. There's all this noise in your head, and you have no choice but to be present.
Yeah.
When you're kind of dribbling that ball, you feel the beat of it. It kind of became who you are.
Yeah, it's like a bike chain. Like, everybody's so intrigued by the bike and how fast it goes, which is the NBA, right?
Yeah.
But nobody realizes how important the chain is until it pops, And then, only then, is when you start to oil it and start to take care of it and start to really give it its proper attention, So I just feel like the bike chain, and I feel like a lot of players should feel like the bike chain to the bicycle. As small as we can be sometimes, every link makes sense.
How was that first game in the NBA?
I think it was in New York City. I only scored 9 points.
So it was Heat Knicks.
Yeah, I only scored 9 points. I was so nervous. But I made it up, though. I made it up. My second game, we lost, but it was in front of Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan gave me the best compliment I've ever. I was so nervous, but let me get back to the first game. The first game was a dub, man. First game was a dub. I just remember, I think Al Harrington was guarding me. My first NBA bucket, and I'm mad this went in. I'm so upset it went in. Because now, forever, my first NBA bucket would be me going to the left. I think I spent left to right, and the ball rolled down my arm, and all I could do was just flick it up. And it just went in. I was so... I wish it would have went over the basket. I wish it would have just went 30, because it was just such an ugly basket.
You mentioned Michael Jordan. I know you played with LeBron, right? There's always the debate, and maybe it's someone else. Who would you say is the best?
LeBron.
Over Jordan?
100%.
Why?
Okay, my argument is a reasonable one, right? All right, I started with the one everybody knows, the points, the longevity, all that, right? With Jordan, they don't talk about the negativity. They don't talk about the playoff losses. They don't talk about the fact that he actively sought out Dennis Rodman, who was already a 2-time champion. And no shot to Jordan because he's Jordan, right? But they don't tell the story of him having to learn the championship pedigree. LeBron James gave us, or has given us, the opportunity to be witnesses. We watch his good, his bad. We watch his ups, his down, so long, and he's been so great that we don't have anything to say. So we now talk about his son, right? That's my personal argument. My stat argument is LeBron James, every player in the NBA, which is I think around 4,700, something like that, 4,000, right? Just under 5,000. Put every player's stats on a board, right? And take everybody's name off. And now we play a Easter egg hunt, right? We gotta find 5 eggs. If we look for the best point guard, LeBron James would be somewhere top 5, though, his stats would be somewhere top 5, right? Look for the best 2, 3, 4, 5. LeBron James is no lower. You'll never see his stats no lower than 6, 7 on all 5 of those, right? 6 man, all of that. And you take his resume, how far, because we all call him Le Coach, right? So how far down is his resume as a coach? Now let's go to GM. How far, right? With all of that being said, now having to look after my son, and the credit that we don't give him is for him to have the entire world inside of his brain and still be able to give us 25, 8, and 8.
I mean, right, he was recently, right, considered a billionaire. Right, so imagine that, right?
Imagine the negativity that comes with it, you know? And Michael Jordan, I'm sorry to cut you off, but fortunately for Michael Jordan, unfortunately for LeBron James, it wasn't a social media. It wasn't so close to the players, it wasn't so in your face every day. We only knew what was going on in our blocks in the 90s. Now we know what's going on in the world. And LeBron James' career just started the social media area. And, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but it made him a lot of money. I think if Jordan would have played in the same era, like with a total different discussion, but it is what it is. But I just think LeBron James, for him to have the pressure he had on him from, I first heard about him when I was in the 8th grade. And I told my mom about him. That's the first player, the only player. And Michael Jordan and Vince Carter was my favorite player at the time.
Vince.
First conversation about basketball I had with my mom was about LeBron James. 12 and 13 to now 36, this man hasn't dropped the ball, no pun intended, but he hasn't dropped the ball as my personal hero, as the kids' personal heroes, as a leader, as a philanthropist, I mean, you name it. His resume just around life is just, I feel like we're talking about it too long.
No, I appreciate that. What's one of your top favorite memory? 11 seasons in the NBA.
My top memory is without a doubt, 11, 10, 10. My career high. Had 42 points. And I just remember being so nervous because my son's mom at the time called me right when we got on the team bus and she was going into labor. And she called me right before we warmed up. And I remember feeling guilty because it was my first son. I wasn't there, and whatever. I was in Sacramento, he was in New York. But I remember feeling guilty that I wasn't there. She called me, he was born right before the game, and I just told myself, bro, we gotta win the game. And I never had my career high. So that's like something me and my son can share. So that's without a doubt number one.
What do you think, nowadays, now there's college players, NBA players, and before the show, I know we've talked about that. What actually happens as far as the earnings, young players, you were 19, you got your rookie contract. What can be done now? Because we're hearing, after taxes, after management fees.
What I think can be done now, and I probably shouldn't say this out loud because I kind of want to put together a fund like you are to save the players. So I think it should be mandatory for each league, each professional league. Well, now with the NIL and kids getting paid in high school, I think it should be mandatory for that first check, second check, anything up to, these players making millions of dollars, so anything up to $5 million, right? Mandatory for whether it's your first check or your first 2 or 3 checks or your contract, or I mean your contract, right? Your first $5 million should go into a whole life, and that should go into a trust fund. I think we teach our kids, and especially in my community, that saving money is the way, but inflation on a country is the fastest way to,
That's smart. That's right.
And from a basketball player that comes from where I come from, it's only worse because rather than what we think, because we're getting more money, we save more money. we actually in the bad because we don't understand taxes, and now we don't understand that $1 is $2, and we don't understand inflation, and then we think saving that money, and then we turn around and 10 million is only 7 million 5 years later. 1% in the bank. They're not teaching us that we can get 10% in real estate. They're not teaching us that we can get 30 years over the S&P, or 10% over the S&P over 30 years. So I think the knowledge, preserving, teaching us how to preserve our wealth, teaching us how to fight tax dollars. Like I know a lot of people in my community are mad at Donald Trump, but I think if you just listen to him and the way that he uses his money for taxes, I think it's genius. And I think if the NBA makes it mandatory, the numbers will go down from players going broke to 70 to 80%, and nothing is 100%, right?
Yeah.
So on a low end, 30%, 50, go down to 50%, 40%, which is, generational money. And it's players out here that, that's not playing anymore, that can't earn the funds anymore, that really need the knowledge.
So I want to just do the math, because it's something that I thought about, and tell me, because it seems this way, right? 450 players, active players, right?
Roughly,
15 on
yeah.
30 teams. I think the average time in the NBA is maybe 4 or 5 years, average.
Average 4 years, yeah.
4 years, right? You get your rookie contract, $5 million, maybe less, maybe more.
On the low end.
Low end, so it could be
on the low end, if you're getting a guarantee 4 years, which only first rounders get guaranteed, so the guarantee is really only 2.5 years, 2 years. Usually by your third year, you get an extension, or team decide to pick up your option. But the money has to be way more than what I was making in 2008. My first year, I was making 4.5, almost 4.6
per year. But that's as a rookie. That's actually
as a rookie. But I was number 2 pick, so everybody's not number 2 pick, right? So Derrick Rose is making, I think, 5.9 or something like that. I'm not sure what he does. I'm not, Derrick Rose is my friend, but I'm not into anybody's business.
Yeah.
But just take those numbers right there. My first contract was $20 million. If that would have went into a whole life, if that would have then went into a trust fund, where the trust fund is the controller and the guarantor of the trust fund, then you take the fuck up out of my hands, right? We, in the NBA, we all, contrary to popular belief, we save our money as much as we can through our first contract, and we bank on getting the second one. A lot of guys fuck that first one up because, and a 19-year-old, a little bit of it, you got to learn how to wash your own dollars and wash your own laundry before you know how bad they stink. So we generally go to our first contract. So my point is, if the first contract is mandatory, because just like I know, you can borrow against that money at least at 90% of it in the first 20 days. So if you preserve it first, you borrow against it rather than teaching these kids how to save money and spend money on their debit cards and even having a debit card. It's just ways that we could literally, they don't teach us how to use our tax money. They don't teach us that we're a billboard. They, like literally we can put our principal up and then spend our tax money on our cars, our food, anything we in the city, because we don't live in the city. Just the tax money, then putting in the IUL, that right there drop it from 75, 80 to damn near fucking 20.
Right. So even if in your career you can make 40, 50, right, with taxes, because you also have to pay taxes to the state. Let's say you have away games.
And you got to pay taxes in every play, everywhere you play, and they prorate it to how long we in.
Which makes no sense, by the way.
It doesn't, but they call it the Michael Jordan rule. So they just try to do anything to bro, he was busting their ass. You know, so they tried to do anything to make his time in the city uncomfortable. You know, so it kind of trickled down to all of us. But we pay taxes in every city we go to. But even that, you know, dinners, business meetings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Managers, association
you know,
dues, right?
It's so much we could write off, and then making the trust fund, the controller of the trust fund, takes the players. You know, now I have to go through channels to get certain things, and then in a certain amount of time, I'm getting a tax-free check every month. You know, so.
But you can give a little piece, right? You should give a little piece, right? You should reward yourself, maybe 10%, 20%, whatever it happens to be. Even though you're 19, 20, you get this contract. And so you can enjoy life, take care of your mom, take care of whatever you're doing.
And teach these kids, like we call it balling, getting his money and buying his cars and da-da-da-da. But your side of life called it living well. You know, and you just teach these kids the fine line between balling and living well. It's like you can have all of the same nice things. It's not about what you do. It's just about how you do it and the time, you know, and the fashion you do it in. So I just think, you know, knowledge and preserving one is definitely the way to go.
Let me ask you this. The training in the NBA compared to before the NBA, like the daily routine, and I'm thinking about 40 away games, like wow. So there's right.
So that's why Kobe, that's Kobe's mentality, right? In high school, it's hard. College, I think, I don't think no one's ever been in shape until you go to college. And then NBA, a lot of guys take their foot off the gas, whether it's. And I was one of the guys, and you think playing basketball every day or working out every day is just going, you know, and that's where injuries come from. You don't lift and condition and things like that, then that's literally why certain guys play the way they play, because they conditioned to. That's why my stats in college were what they were, because I lifted every single day on game days. You know, I wish I would have kept that routine in NBA, but like I said, you know, we live and learn.
Because I know, right, the Lakers just dropped out of the playoffs, and there's all, you know, you talk about the training. Do you think that Luka, do you think that he ran out of gas because of that?
No. I hate this narrative on Luka.
Right. Because just something that I'm hearing in the news.
Yeah, 100%. I'm hearing it too. Yeah. I hate this like out of shape narrative that I'm hearing, because it's like everybody that's saying he's out of shape is the same ones that's cheering hoorah, hoorah when he's scoring 50 points, 60 points, and it's like, you know, like I know, in order to score 50, you got to be in shape to shoot 30 shots at least. Right?
Especially in the NBA, especially nowadays. Especially
what shape are we, like, you know, when it works, what shape are we speaking about? It's like, you always got to find something bad to say about it. And it's like, why? Like, bro, sometimes the other guy was just better and just bust their ass. And just really bust their ass. And as simple as that, because Luka got all the way to the championship last year. Western Conference Finals, when he won the game and you took the beer out of his hand, was it a shape thing then?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, when it's cool, when I'm scoring 50, tell me then to get in shape. Don't be on my side and give me all of the money and all of the. But then the second I don't make the same shots I've been making, second shot I don't make one of them, the second I get a turnover, or the second I don't win one of the games that you clearly been paying me for, now I'm out of shape.
Yeah.
You know, no, that fucks up the players' money, and the organizations know what they're doing. That's not fair, because you're talking about organizations that's getting billions of dollars and players that's taking care of 20, 30 people. So that's 60, 70 a year he's getting. If he's not doing it right, he's probably only getting 10 of that. You know, and it's like you put out a narrative on him just because he didn't make the shot you wanted him to play, or he didn't play the way you wanted him to play. It's not fair, because at the end of the day, it's still only 400 of us.
Yeah.
It's
It's grueling when I think about it. Do you think the NBA as an organization is doing enough for the mental health of the players?
No. And that's the part I had to learn myself. The NBA will tell a story, and I love the NBA. I love everything they've done for me. I love everything they continue to do for me. My friends, my family, but I just have to be honest. The story would be told of a player going broke that the NBA gave them a life they never had, which is true. Cars, money, da. But from the perspective of the horse in the race, right? Who's been bred from day one, you can tell a story of giving me a life I never had, but then now I can tell a story of you taking the only life I know. You understand?
Yeah. It's always a price.
So,
it's always a price.
The money is okay. That's cool, but we're dribbling the ball when you leave high school. When you're in high school, and you skipping class if you're dribbling the ball with us.
Yeah.
You graduating and going to college, and we're still dribbling the ball. And you're having kids and watching them grow up, and we're still dribbling the ball. And then they take the only life we know, and now we look crazy for still dribbling the ball.
Yeah.
We don't know what taxes are. We don't know what a W-2 are. We never seen a fucking resume, let alone know what the real world is. And some guys figure it out, some guys don't. And the ones that don't, the world just laugh at. Delonte West.
Yeah, the world's tough.
Allen Iverson for a while. Fucking Antoine Walker had to get through it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not fair. That's wrong. That's wrong. And as great as my life can be or is, or I just can't never not acknowledge that part. And
I'll tell you, I know, I definitely see it. It's not just in the NBA, but that, right? So in a lot of sports and things, but there should be a real, like a pot of money and help and people, the transition.
See, I don't know if pot of money is the thing, because like I said earlier, like the 80%, now there's a reason these players, right? And sometimes, like a lot of the times, now I'm not gonna say something, a lot of the time it's not the players. Trevor Ariza is one of my like LeBron James-esque heroes. I've been watching him also, since I started watching Bron and paying attention to basketball, and he was one of the first guys that went against Bron in high school. So
yeah.
It was, he just been, and like everything he say, I just kind of live by, right? One day I'm just riding in the car with him, and he say, I guess, the loudest sentence I ever heard in my life. He said, "Michael Beasley, you probably one of the smartest guys I ever met in my life, but you're loyal to the dumbest people I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And I use that, and I thank him for that, because I literally cut everybody off around me. Like, I don't know who he's talking about, but but I use that as an example because we only know to love who we know to love. We grow up with who we grow up, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
We get this money and we listen to people tell us what to do next week with some money that they never even could fathom last week. And it takes a lot of guys longer than others to figure it out, and it's taking it a step further. A lot of us are non-confrontational because we're so big. So if we get into an argument, it's easy to tell those people that the big guy was yelling, the cops, that the big guy broke it. So guys my size are more scared of you guys than you know. So we're more timid because we know if you take something from me and I say, possession is 9/10 of the law. So all you got to do is tell them a convincing story, and the elephant being in the room, and is a good story, a good reason for it being fucked up. You understand? So that goes in our heads when every encounter we get. So when you do something, I do notice you stealing. I do know. I just don't want to lose my family or be in jail because, like the first thing is I'm gonna. The second thing is I don't want them to be in jail. And the third and ultimate thing is out of abandonment issues. I tell my friend all the time. Well, I told my friend the other day. I seen my family on a sinking ship. I seen them let me do things that I shouldn't. I seen myself acting the way but I was just scared to get off the boat because that's the only family I had. It's like the two evils. Like I cut my family off and I'm alone in this world, or I just watch what they do and die with them.
Yeah.
And just unfortunately, I just chose to die with them.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a very unique, right? Coming from where you came from, being drafted second in the NBA and everything that you've been through, what's something that you're grateful for?
Life, air, like literally air. And that's so cliche, but I like to live my life in air. I like to do deeds that nobody see. I like to do things behind the camera. God is so grand and so accepting that air touches everything, good and evil, no judgment.
Yeah.
Guy behind bars, guy on top of the mountain, a billionaire, and a guy with not a dollar in his pocket. Air love us all.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for air because nobody else acknowledges it.
It's the
only thing they haven't charged us for yet, but it's the most valuable thing in the world. Like literally, if God snap it off right now, we got 5 minutes tops.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I want to wish you good luck. I know you have the one-on-one with Lance Stevenson next month.
Oh, shit, we ain't talk about that.
Right, yeah. No, but
TNC, go check it out. June 6th, We the Ones and TNC, Lance Stevenson and Michael Beasley.
That's right. That's right. And I know you're known one-on-one. I want to thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you coming in, pulling the curtain back, and the ups, downs, rights, and lefts, and everything. And good luck, to all your family, kids. Everyone should be healthy and well.
Yes, sir.
I want to say thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Michael. If you haven't already, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribing ensures you never miss an episode, and it helps us continue to bring you meaningful conversations that make a difference. Thank you for being part of our growing community. We couldn't do this without you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.